Everyone loves a good video game story, something that hurtles along at breakneck speed, throws out twists and turns that force you to reevaluate who's really on your side. All round, it should give you a damn good reason to see something through to the end credits. Then there are those titles that attempt this stuff, attempts to be memorable, edgy, or impactful, only to trip and hit the floor instead. For the most part, it is possible to fail upwards in the realm where GIFs and memes are king, but some plot devices are just straight up terrible. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 dumbest video game plot twists that insult your intelligence. Also, check the description because spoilers ahead for a whole bunch of games. Number 10. The boss is an AI. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Look, I will try to not make this whole list all about Metal Gear Solid because that is one super dumb video game franchise. I absolutely adore it, but when you've got water-walking vampires, octopus-armed presidents, and nanomachine-powered cyborg ninja warriors, well, we probably should have seen Peace Walker's twist coming, to be honest. After revealing that despite being shot square in the head in MGS3, the boss appeared to be alive and talking at the beginning of Peace Walker, by the end it was revealed that a simulation of her will and consciousness had been recreated and transplanted into an AI pod. This then took on a whole other level of insanity when, near the close of the final fight, the boss's actual spirit took over the AI pod and forced the nuclear-equipped mech it was controlling to drown itself in the name of world peace. Hideo Kojima might be the craziest creative mind working with millions of dollars behind him in entertainment history. Number 9. Cole Phelps randomly dies for no reason. L.A. Noire. The more years go by, the more L.A. Noire seems to really divide people. Either you really love its facial tech, atmosphere, and general setup enough to paper over the cracks that appeared in the conversation system, or that last point was enough to break the whole thing in half. I am with the latter, and as the story slowly unfolds and shows that Phelps himself was less than a saint, cheating on his wife and expecting zero repercussions, the writers decided to give him a hero ending, where a random body of water is set to wipe him out lest he climb out the way. Naturally, he shoots the whole go on without me style look and gets consumed in an instant. Only I and many of us didn't care, as it was more good riddance to bad rubbish than anything close to a beloved character. Number 8. Desmond has to kill himself to save the world. Assassin's Creed 3. By the time Assassin's Creed had a few sequels in the bank, Ubisoft's attempt to capitalize on AC2's incredible finale only resulted in more all-powerful God demands great sacrifice type bullpoop. First came Desmond having to kill Lucy as he was possessed by mystical space energy or something, and then in AC3 we got this ridiculous setup where some universe-saving pedestal had to be touched for everything to be okay. Because there was now this, large meteor hurtling towards Earth, which interacting with the pedestal would stop. Because video games. With two gods monologuing their intentions, Desmond grips the pedestal, dies, and enacts some sort of global blanket of electricity across the world as the game cuts away to show nonsensical wrap-up scenes and credits as well. It's almost as though the lead creative writer leaving the project before this game had some kind of impact. Number 7. Shelby is the killer. Heavy Rain. Oh, David Cage, you were so close. First, you had what's easily one of the finest opening levels in gaming history with the ludicrously engaging Fahrenheit/Indigo Prophecy, centering on the whole what would you do to cover up a murder-style premise. Then you go and nail almost the entirety of Heavy Rain, a film noir detective thriller with a killer twist. Or at least, it was being set up to be a killer twist, until you randomly made one of the main characters the murderer. By swapping out the intentions of the kind-hearted Scott Shelby, private detective, and supplanting them with far more sinister ones, it made all his actions up until the finale make zero sense. Why try and solve the murder if you are the killer? Even if you go down the route of, well, killers like to get involved in their cases, why visit a random person, Manfred the Clockmaker, only to kill them and create more incriminating evidence? Shock factor is not good just for shock factor's sake. You need to only ask Ryan Johnson about that. Number 6. The Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. Batman Arkham Knight. This might not have been quite so spectacularly terrible if Rocksteady didn't make such a big song and dance about Batman's new antagonist being an entirely new character. Time and again, the devs insisted the ferocious Arkham Knight was someone original, only for the game to start sledgehammering home the idea of Jason Todd being behind the mask. Suddenly, Batman was having random flashbacks to that one time he lost his former Robin to the Joker, being repeatedly reminded of it by other characters despite such a weight on his mind not manifesting whatsoever in the past 2 games. Then, wouldn't you know it, the mask comes off, and who do we have? It is Jason Todd. The most obvious assumption from day one, and the one character fans pleaded to the heavens that it wouldn't be. But look, at least the boss battles against him were Number 5. Ramsey kills Ethan Forrester. Telltale's Game of Thrones. Another huge amount of build-up leads to nothing at all style feeling. It is clear that Telltale wanted to kick off their Game of Thrones spin-off with a bang. Or rather, a blade to the neck. Building off the notion that Ramsay Snow is one crazy son of a gun, come the close of that first episode, you'll square off against him as young Ethan Forrester, really getting a feeling for what it's like to tangle with one of the most hated characters in Game of Thrones history. Then he randomly kills you no matter what you say, and that's that. An entire episode's worth of narrative choices, insert character here will remember that pop-ups, and general immersion washed away. All for the sake of establishing Ramsey as a catalyst for chaos, despite not being able to do anything interesting with him afterwards. Number 4. Quiet breezed through her skin. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. I know I said I wouldn't focus entirely on Hideo Kojima, but come on! This thing just begs for it. Just think about it. At some point, an entire team of writers had to sit down and get this pushed through. People had to animate Quiet's dancing and her stripteases. Stephanie Justin had to motion capture it in the first place, and as Quiet was half naked just cuz, Kojima and co. then decided to give her appearance a narrative logical reason. And what did they come up with? Well, she breathes through her skin. Her original skin was burned off in a horrific Molotov cocktail incident, and since that day she's had extensive therapy with some rare parasites, ones that gave her a new biological makeup, replete with superpowers and super speed and teleportation. Because why not? Also, fun fact, taking your clothes off to breathe is the exact same reason given to why Jacob was always shirtless in Twilight. It is that level of thought. Number 3. The synthesis ending. Mass Effect 3. It wasn't that Mass Effect 3's ending was disappointing, or that it's now here's an alien child to talk to setup didn't feel all that fluid following more believable interactions beforehand. No, it was more that one of the options just didn't feel like it made any sense at all. We're told that by choosing the synthesis ending, and as a quick recap, our hero Shepard is currently wielding a giant space gun with infinite power at this point, and he needs to figure out how exactly that's going to work in the face of an all-powerful, timeless entity granting him 3 possible solutions. The synthesis ending then will force synthetics and organic life forms to merge as one, creating peace across the cosmos, assumedly addressing the issue of life and what it means to be a synthetic life form by blending the two together. Honestly, what the hell was that going to look like? Would new life forms be born that were just a combination of the two? Would we all just black out and wake up with plastic limbs or synthetic fibers coursing through our veins? Would you just suddenly zip across the room and meld with the toaster? This was the beginning of the dark times for BioWare, and it resulted in a state of near stasis that they've barely recovered from. Number 2. Booker kills Comstock. Bioshock Infinite. Maybe it's totally just me, but considering a major narrative thrust of Bioshock Infinite is tracking down the nefarious Comstock and assumedly having a conversation about, well, you know, the flying island he's on, I always thought it was a massive cop-out when Booker just kills him in a cutscene. It's mostly in service of the final rug pull being that the two characters are the same person, albeit from different universes, a fact that Booker might have sussed out if he had time to say more than a couple of words to the guy before bashing his face on some ceramics. Either way, when this moment happened, I just put the controller down and sat there looking at the screen, thinking, really? That was the best you had? Let me know down in the comments what you made of this particular scene. It often gets overlooked in favor of all the other dimension-hopping, multiple timeline type stuff, and I would love to know what everyone else thinks. Number 1. You are not Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Yes, Hideo Kojima tops the list because of course he was always going to. In Phantom Pain, all Kojima had to do was one job. All that centered on was capitalizing on the hype and delivering the missing link between Metal Gear Solid 5 and Metal Gear on the MSX. After years of advertising and allusions towards pivotal scenes that would show the downfall of Big Boss, fans played the Phantom Pain just waiting for this mystery scene. Was it when Boss had to save a bunch of child slaves? How about when loads of his own men caught a viral infection and died by his own hand as an act of mercy? Nope, in fact, none of that mattered because you weren't even playing as Big Boss at all. Yes, we can point to all sorts of problems with Konami overseeing the project and cutting the legs out from under it before the big finish line, but this overall story is entirely what Kojima had planned. As much as I can appreciate the notion of playing as a custom clone of Big Boss, as some sort of no, you were Big Boss all along, yes, you at home the player, it kinda breaks the entire canon, as we now have no connective tissue as to why Boss descended into the villain that he was in the very first game. Still, at least the gameplay was phenomenal, so we'll always have that. And that's just a selection of the dumbest video game plot twists that I felt insulted our collective intelligence. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below, and please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.